As children, we wanted to touch everything. We wanted to understand everything. We asked questions. We explored. We were amazed by the smallest details, not because someone taught us to, simply because that was our natural way of experiencing the world. Then we grew up, and somewhere along the way, without even noticing, something slowly disappeared. Our curiosity. Work took over. Responsibilities filled our days. Deadlines replaced discovery. Routine replaced wonder. We walked the same streets, thought the same thoughts, reacted to the same situations in the same ways. And little by little, we stopped pausing just to truly notice what was around us. Over the past few weeks, I've been reading about curiosity. Philosophers, psychologists, and neuroscientists all seem to agree on one thing. Curiosity isn't just a pleasant personality trait. It's one of the foundations of learning, creativity, and personal growth. That idea stayed with me. It made me wonder whether we've really lost our curiosity, or whether we've simply forgotten how to use it. That question stayed in my mind, so I decided to do something unexpected. I started learning videography, not because I want to become a filmmaker, but because I wanted to become a beginner again. I bought a simple smartphone gimbal and started going for walks. I wasn't chasing perfect shots. I was chasing something else. The feeling of seeing the world with fresh eyes, the way a child does. At first, I was completely focused on the technique. How to hold the gimbal, how to move smoothly, how to frame a shot. But one evening, something happened that I didn't expect. I was walking through a narrow path surrounded by tall reeds, a place I had visited many times before. Then I stepped out into the open. Suddenly, the landscape unfolded in front of me. The water, the evening light, the endless sky. Later, when I showed the footage to my wife, she smiled and said, "It looks like the opening scene of a movie." But the video wasn't what stayed with me. The realization did. This place had always been here. The water hadn't changed. The light hadn't changed. The landscape hadn't changed. I had walked this path many times before. I simply hadn't really seen it. The camera didn't make the world more beautiful. It simply slowed me down enough to notice what had always been there. And that was the moment I began to understand why curiosity matters so much. I don't think curiosity is valuable because it constantly leads us to something new. I think it's valuable because it allows us to rediscover what has quietly become invisible through familiarity. Socrates believed that wisdom begins when we recognize how little we truly know. Zen philosophy speaks about the beginner's mind, approaching life without assuming we already have all the answers. Carl Jung encouraged us to observe ourselves before rushing to judge ourselves. The more I reflected on these ideas, the more I realized they all point toward the same truth. Curiosity doesn't simply give us more knowledge, it gives us more freedom. Because every time we say, "This is just who I am," that will never work. I've already seen this. We quietly close a door. Curiosity doesn't argue with those conclusions. It simply asks, "Are you sure? Maybe you don't know yourself as well as you think. Maybe another person is far more complex than your first impression. Maybe the same path has something new to show you every single day. Maybe no sunset is ever exactly the same." That's why I no longer see curiosity as a childish trait. I see it as a conscious choice. A choice to stop rushing toward conclusions. A choice to leave space for questions. A choice to observe before judging. To notice before assuming. to stay open a little longer. Because something changes when we become curious again. We slow down, we notice more, we become more present, more grateful, more alive. Looking back, I don't think I really bought a gimbal. I bought a reminder. A reminder that attention is a skill, that presence can be practiced, and that the world is far richer than we experience when we're constantly rushing through it. So I'd like to leave you with one simple question. When was the last time you looked at something with genuine curiosity? Not because it would make you more productive, not because it would help you achieve another goal, but simply because you wanted to see it as if for the very first time. Maybe curiosity isn't important because it leads us to new places. Maybe it's important because it gives us new eyes to see the place we're already standing. And perhaps the greatest discoveries aren't waiting somewhere far away. Perhaps they begin the moment we slow down enough to truly notice what has been there all along.